couple of months ago, it was announced that NASCAR would have its own docuseries on Netflix, kind of like F1 Drive to Survive. We talked about F1 Drive to Survive earlier today as Gunther Steiner, a very popular figure to the viewers of Drive to Survive, and also the team principal, well, now former team principal of Haas, has been asked to leave. He opted to leave, whatever the option was. So we talked about that this morning. Well, now we're talking about Netflix. Last time we were talking about a guy who's also on Netflix, and his main thing is racing. Well, now we're talking about racing, which is the main thing, but now it's mainly Netflix, or we're talking about the mainly Netflix. Sorry to confuse you all. Let's get into it. NASCAR, a couple of months ago, as I said, announced that they would have their own Netflix docuseries similar to Drive to Survive. Drive to Survive obviously spiked the population of F1 in the United States, as we've seen the popularity, just as I said, spike, skyrocket, whatever you want to say. And now the U.S. has 3 F1 races. And so we've also seen this with other shows, or with other sports, I should say. And we've seen it, I think, with golf. We've seen it with tennis and maybe even the NFL. I think they have that quarterback series. And in fact, in the last couple hours, they just announced that they're doing something similar to the quarterback series with NBA stars. So major sports have Netflix docuseries, and now NASCAR is going to be added onto that list. The first trailer was released this morning. I'll let you go view that yourself. I'm not going to put it on here because mainly I'll probably get copyright taken down. And secondly, because I believe in you and your ability to find it yourself. 2 is that they did release some of the details. They had an article about it. It premieres on January 30th. So that's 20 days from now. And then also it talks about, or it says in their article, the full series cast. The title of the show will be NASCAR Full Speed. Makes sense because NASCAR, you go fast, you go full speed, you win, and there you go. But the cast, which is weird to say, I'm going to have to go add this cast to my IMDb favorites. Ryan Blaney, William Byron, Ross Chastain, Denny Hamlin, Bubba Wallace, Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, Joey Logano, and Tyler Reddick. Obviously, they followed these drivers around during the NASCAR playoffs this past season. If you want me to, I guess I'll go through each driver, why they're probably on this. Ryan Blaney, obviously, he won the championship this past year, and this was recorded during the playoffs. You're going to follow the champion around. William Byron was the most successful driver in 2023 statistically. It was his breakout season, 6 wins. Driver of an iconic number in NASCAR, the number 24. You're going to follow him around as well. Ross Chastain, they are following him because he has emerged as a star in NASCAR. Also a controversial figure on the track. He wrecks some people. He gets into it with some people. So, I'm just curious to see how they paint him. Denny Hamlin, speaking of controversial, he will be your villain, if I had to guess. They will probably talk about his run-ins with Kyle Larson, run-ins with Ross Chastain, Chase Elliott, whoever else it may be, and how he's had controversial incidents on the track in the past and how he has now become the villain of NASCAR since Kyle Busch is no longer in that role. Bubba Wallace, obviously in it, one of the more known stars in NASCAR, not just in the NASCAR world, but outside of NASCAR as well. He made his first playoff appearance this past year, so they are going to follow him around, is my guess, for a bit. I think he got knocked out in the round of 12, so maybe they do the first couple of rounds. Kyle Larson obviously made it to the championship 4 as a Cup Series champion, a pretty well-known driver in NASCAR. Christopher Bell made his second straight championship 4, very successful young driver. They're going to follow him around. Joey Logano, the defending champion, how is he going to defend his crown? Spoiler alert, it went horribly wrong. And then Tyler Reddick, a young driver, his first year with Michael Jordan as his team owner, and let's see how he does in the playoffs. So I'm sure those are the storylines if I had to guess what we're going to see, but we're also going to see not just the at-the-track stuff, we're going to see behind the scenes. In the trailer, you see pictures, videos, whatever it may be, of the drivers at their home, at their pool, at their whatever it may be. So we're going to see how they operate behind the scenes, when they're not at the track qualifying, when they're not at the track for the race, when they're not in a team debrief. What are they doing at home? Are they watching Netflix, ironically enough? Are they hanging out with their friends? Are they taking care of their kids? We're going to learn some of the more personal details of these drivers' lives is what I would have to guess, because we've seen that in other series. The show, as I said, is called NASCAR Full Speed. That is your main characters, your cast, whatever you want to call it. I'll go to IMDb, add them to my favorites, because I'm one of those nerds who has an IMDb account and has a bunch of favorites and rates all that stuff. But Jeff Gluck reports that the new NASCAR Netflix series will be 5 episodes of 45 minutes each. So I'm curious to see the breakdown of how they do it, to see how they do, the breakdown, which drivers get which episodes. All Championship 4 drivers are in the cast, so I'm expecting the last episode to focus on them for more than anything. But curious to see how they break that down. Do they just show Phoenix, or do they show the prep to Phoenix? Do they show them in Charlotte at home? Very curious to see what they do, but let me know what your thoughts are on that. What do you think they are going to do on this show? How are they going to portray the drivers? How are they going to tell the stories? How much behind the scenes stuff are we going to see? I'm very curious to see how this goes. Lots of changes coming in NASCAR and the media side of things with the new media rights deal, new broadcast partners, and now we have a Netflix series about NASCAR, a docuseries, I should say. And I'm curious to see how it goes. Drive to Survive, obviously, with all the success it's had, but at the same time, those first 2-3 seasons were really good, really accurate, gave you some great behind-the-scenes detail. But then the past couple of seasons, they've kind of gone off track a little bit, over-dramatized things that aren't dramatic, just mixing up some things that just aren't true. And I want them to go back to the basics that they did in seasons 1, 2, and maybe 3. But hopefully they're accurate. Hopefully they don't make things up on the fly. And it should be a good show. Curious to see the details, the personal backdoor stuff. What are the drivers doing before a race? What are the team debriefs like? What is their life outside of NASCAR like? I'm curious to see what those details are. As for more NASCAR news that is not really about the racing itself, well, technically the docuseries is about the racing, but there's also going to be non-racing stuff. Once again, I'm getting sidetracked. Kyle Busch, owner of Rowdy Energy. We have not really talked about Rowdy Energy on here because really I'm not an energy drink person, so I'm never doing a taste test, and it turns out I will never get to do a taste test. There's been speculation over the past couple days, and Kyle Busch has acknowledged it itself about Rowdy Energy shutting down. Rowdy Nation, in 2020, I wanted to create a better for you all-natural energy drink that had great taste, so I launched Rowdy Energy. I'm really proud of our efforts and appreciate all the investors that stood behind me to help make my dream become a reality. We had quick success getting into 50,000 doors in just 2 short years, thanks in part to the relationships I've been lucky enough to build during my years in racing. From its start, there's no doubt that the popularity and success of Rowdy Energy was due to each of you. I cannot thank you enough for your support, from posts on social media to telling me in person to seeing it in your hands at racetracks. That has meant a lot to me, and I'm forever grateful. But unfortunately, I'm here to say that Rowdy Energy will be ceasing operations and closing its doors in the coming weeks. Like many other new consumer brands, the headwinds have proven to be too strong, and it makes the most sense to end the journey so I can remain focused on my family and my racing career. While the news is sad to announce, I'll always appreciate what I learned along the way. It was a fun ride and only fueled my passion for better for you energy drinks. Signed, Kyle Busch. Now, yeah, once again, I'm not an energy drink fan. I never tried it. But I know a lot of Kyle Busch fans out there care about Kyle Busch and, his future and all the things of Kyle Busch Incorporated. That's not a legal thing, but obviously Kyle Busch just sold Kyle Busch Motorsports a few months ago, and so he's no longer a truck owner, and now he's no longer an energy drink owner. It seems like they're just ceasing operations. They're not selling or anything. But yeah, so Kyle Busch no longer has Rowdy Energy. Not really racing in terms of the racing itself, but it is about a guy who's in racing. So that's all the NASCAR news I got for you today. We got a new Netflix docuseries, I Can't Talk, and we got Kyle Busch shutting down Rowdy Energy. Any other news or updates on NASCAR, I will let you know. We're going to do the spotters video tomorrow. We're going to talk about the spotter changes in 2024, which spotters are going to which drivers, And then later in the week, we'll do a diecast review, or I guess this weekend, we'll do a diecast review. I'll do what I did last week, put a poll up, have you guys vote for which diecast you want to see, and I'll get that up this weekend. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Have a good day.